LoreWarrior Online double feature, MTR-5K Maelstrom. Overview. The third mech in the Marauder series, the Maelstrom didn't make it off the drawing board and into production before the fall of the Star League. During the past 29 years, as more of the Grade F memory core has been decoded, manufacturers across the Ionosphere have gradually relearned the Star League's technological secrets. Armed with this new technology, GM has gone ahead with plans to produce the 3 remaining mechs in the series. Having little room left at its Cathal plant to manufacture the Maelstrom, GM sold licensing rights to Storm Battlemechs. Storm plans to produce the Maelstrom at its new factory on Solaris 7. In the spirit of goodwill between the Federated Commonwealth and the Draconis Combine, GM has also licensed the Maelstrom to the Combine manufacturing Telfar Battlemechs. Capabilities. The Maelstrom is similar to the Marauder and improves on it in some ways. It uses the new Ford 375XL engine, which gives the mech a top speed of 86 kph. To help the pilot stay in combat longer, the designers use double heat sinks to help dissipate the excess heat generated by the mech's weaponry. The Maelstrom's state-of-the-art weapons are impressive. The main weapon is the Defiance 1001 Extended Range PPC, which gives the Maelstrom excellent range and striking power. Coupled with the ER-PPC is a Cyclops 12 Extended Range Large Laser, 2 Defiance P5M Medium Pulse Lasers, and a Jackson Model 12 Small Laser, rounding out the Maelstrom's arsenal. The Battlemech also has excellent armor protection, 14.5 tons of Kellan Royal Star Heavy Battlemech armor spread across the Maelstrom's frame. Finally, its tag system enables it to act as an artillery spotter. Deployment. Maelstroms are currently deployed with Combine units along the Draconis Combine's border with Clan Smoke Jaguar in its occupied zone, and several have reportedly been sent to Walcott. The Lyran Alliance has stationed its Maelstroms along its borders with Clan Jade Falcon and the so-called Chaos March. 3058 Upgrade Overview. The Maelstrom is a SLDF battlemech that never saw service with the SLDF. The final design of this third mech in the Marauder series had only just been approved when the Star League fell. It was only through the recent deciphering of the Grade F memory core that the design became known, and the technology to produce it understood. General Motors has taken the lead in producing the Marauder series battlemechs, manufacturing the entire line. Demand for this hard-hitting, heavy mech outstripped the production capability of GM's Cathal plant almost immediately, as GM determined construction of a second Maelstrom production line, or modifying an existing one, would overtax their plant, which was already operating at near capacity. As a result, GM granted licensing rights to Storm Battlemechs. Their new plant on Solaris 7 went into full production of the Maelstrom, and in early 3059 has been barely able to keep up with demand since. In the spirit of goodwill that existed at the time between the Federated Commonwealth and the Draconis Combine toward the end of the last decade, GM licensed the Maelstrom to the Combine and its mech manufacturer Telfar Battlemechs. Though the political climate has become more complex recently, the business relationship remains constant, and apparently profitable for all parties involved, as Telfar's Midway plant continues to produce full runs of the Maelstrom. Capabilities. The Maelstrom's Marauder heritage is clear in its fundamental design, but most analysts agree the newer machine improves on its technological progenitor in many significant ways. With all energy weapons and 19 double heatsinks to handle temperatures, the Maelstrom is designed to stay in combat, and away from resupply for protracted periods. The Ford 375 Extralight engine gives the heavy mech a top speed of 86 kph, making it impressively fleet of foot for a machine of its size. The Maelstrom's main weapon is the Defiance 1001 Extended Range PPC. This reliable powerhouse gives the mech effective firepower at extreme range. Coupled with the main gun as a Cyclops 12 Extended Range Large Laser, in itself enough to deter many opponents. For close-range defense and offense, the Maelstrom mounts 2 medium pulse lasers and a small laser. 14.5 ton of Kellan Royal Star Heavy Battlemech armor ensure that any attacker who does manage to land a shot has little chance of damaging vital systems. In keeping with this mech's agility and ability to survive on the field, it's also equipped with a tag system, which allows it to act as an artillery spotter. Deployment. The Maelstrom is very popular with Combine units along the Clan frontier, and its heavy armor and speed make it one of the Ionosphere's most able to stand up to Clan weapon systems. Storm sales to the LAAF have been brisk as of GMs to the AFFS, and very few commands are without at least one. GM and Storm have also marketed the Maelstrom to mercenary units. Variants. A recon/spotter variant was developed by Telfar, but hasn't been a big success with the DCMS. Intended for recon in force or as an artillery spotter under heavy fire, this variant interlinks the Beagle active probe sensor array and Guardian electronic countermeasures suite with existing TAG. Unfortunately, to make these systems fit, 2 double heatsinks had to be removed and the medium pulse lasers downgraded to standard mediums. 2 small lasers were added to augment the mediums for close-range defense, but few mech warriors considered the combination a fair trade for the lost pulse lasers. Worse, the loss of 2 double heatsinks means the pilot must husband firepower carefully to prevent shutdown. Downgrading the main weapons from ERs to standard solves the heat problem, and Northstorm offers this subvariant, though it robs the Maelstrom of its long-range effectiveness to those involved. Notable mech warriors. Chewie Suki Peterson. In early 3063, the 6th Ghost relieved the 2nd Legion of Vega on Shoila, defending the world and its dropship yards from a Ghost Bear invasion force. 3rd Battalion under Chu Sa Talon Mori was tasked with defense of the Wakazashi Enterprises plant at the foot of the Mitsushima Range, and during a clan attack, Chewie Peterson and her lance intercepted a flanking star of elementals and omnimechs. Her 3 lance mates fell quickly, their lighter mechs no match for the clan's firepower. However, her Maelstrom's ERPPC allowed her to fell a vulture at extreme range, while its heavy armour gave her time to remove elementals with a stop, drop and roll. She held the flank alone until Mori could rotate her forces to meet this new threat. So, the Maelstrom, one of the Marauder siblings. This is another 75-tonner. Its chassis is a Norse TRA-34 Heavy, its power plant is a Ford 375XL, with a cruise of 54 and a max speed of 86 kph with no jump jets. Its armour is Kellon Royal Star Heavy. Its armament is a single Defiance 1001 ERPPC, a Cyclops 12 extended range large laser, 2 Defiance P5M medium pulses, and a single Jackson Model 12 small. It's manufactured by General Motors, Northstorm Battlemechs, and Telfar Battlemechs. Its primary factories are Cathal, Solaris 7, and Midway, respectively. Its communications system is a Sony MSF-21, and its targeting and tracking is a Cyrisi Ballista Check and Cyrisi Rocket Check. I believe those are the same. Yep. So, it's a mech that moves 5 and 8. It has 19 double heatsinks, rounded it up, or no, not rounded up, sorry, it's 38 heat dissipation, so it's pretty good on the heat side of things. It has 9 armour on the head, 38 on the CT with 8 on the rear, 26 on the right and left torso with 6 on the rear, and it has 24 on the arms and 32 on the legs. It's an all-energy build with a tag laser to make it effective for mechs that use lock-on missiles like that. The Maelstrom's a weird one. I don't think it's going to win anyone's first choice battle mech competition, that's for sure. It's one of those mechs that physically looks like it would struggle to get around certain terrain that isn't flat. I could see that they were trying to do something unique and quirky, but like the previous mech in the Dragonfire, this thing just doesn't look anywhere near as cool as the Marauder. And I do find it weird that they decided to write these other Marauder variants, but they didn't make them look similar enough to the Marauder or have any kind of visual style. And I know, top of my head, it might be because of the issues with obviously the lawsuit and Harmony Gold and all that, but I would these would be first candidates for an actual retcon visually, to bring them to look more like something close to a Marauder. Because if you're developing a series of mechs that are all supposed to be similar in design, they're all 75 tonners, for instance, like the Maelstrom, Dragonfire, and Marauder, then you may as well have them with unique kind of looks in that regard, but still keep them in the same kind of visual profile. And arguably as well, the Maelstrom, I don't know, am I missing something here that this thing just isn't quite as good as a normal Marauder? Like, if you take the Marauder with one of its many upgrades or variants, where it has ERPPCs, well, it's already got the Maelstrom beat, because it has 2 of them. You put in the right engine, you've got enough room to put in the double heat sinks, you could keep the AC5 and the 2 mediums, and you've got a 75 tonner in the Marauder that already does more than the Maelstrom does, right? Granted, it's not going to overheat as quickly, maybe, but I don't know. I'm just not really impressed by even the Maelstrom or the Dragonfire, which is a shame because they are on paper good mechs. You've got one that's got an LB10 and a Gauss rifle with some lasers and ECM, and then you've got this one with an ERPPC and an ER large and a tag laser and stuff. So you could see how they do have good things. They've got great heat dissipation and such, but they just, I don't know, they're not as cool as the Marauder. It's weird. It's like having a bunch of Warhammer variants that were never built, and then when they did get built, they don't look anything like a Warhammer, and they're kind of not as good as a Warhammer. This is unfortunately what the Maelstrom is, and the Dragonfire before it, so... Yeah, it's one of those mechs. I'm sure a player wouldn't turn down some advanced technology with a 75-tonner that can move as quick as this does. Certainly, most players I think would be happy to jump into something a bit different. Pulse lasers are good because you get a higher chance to hit. The ERPBC does allow you to stay at a good range and still do decent damage, because you're still doing 10 damage without having to worry too much about heat build-up, because it literally means you can run in the same turn and fire. And you've got plenty of spare heat left over, so you're never really going to overheat if you're just firing them. The ER large is a nice backup. So it's not bad. The tag laser does help for anyone in the Lance who's obviously using LRMs to get an easier time for hitting as well, so if you can tag the target. So there are definitely benefits to this thing. It can be effective on the field. I just don't know if it's the kind of mech that many people go like, oh, Maelstrom, that's the one I want. Yeah, I just don't think it's jumping out anyone anytime soon. I could definitely see this being the kind of thing that if it was added to a game like MWO, for instance, it would be immediately revamped. Players would just completely strip out and change it for a totally different loadout than what it was intended for, because it's just not going to set. It's not going to set tills ringing for a company that add it as a DLC, and it certainly isn't going to make players sing its praises from the rooftop. So it's one of those Battlemechs, unfortunately. It's never going to get the kind of following that a lot of other mechs get. So yeah, I'd certainly use one. It could be a good mech for a villain, or as an objective that you have to protect, or something, getting it from A to B, or it's, as I said, it's something that the players might recover from the field, and it's a new mech, you can't turn down a new mech, that kind of thing. So yeah, anyway, I'll leave it there. Thanks for listening, everyone. I'll catch you all next time, as usual. Have a good week, and just take a line from Botchamania, drink plenty of water.